of baseball fans. So up first is Yaqin Wang. She's an international student from China who received her bachelor's degree in Korean culture and literature from Dalian Foreign Languages University in 2011. After she graduated, Yaqin worked as an English language teacher at Helen Doren Early English. And in order to prepare for her future work in early childhood, in the field of early childhood education, she's pursuing her master's degree in early childhood education here at George Mason University. Currently, her research mainly focuses on early language and literacy development, especially for pedagogies of early English-Chinese bilingual education.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank for all of you being here, especially for my professor, Senator Aaron, to be here. Thank you very much. And also thanks to CISA for organizing this conference. And today I will present my research in progress on English-Chinese bilingual education programs in China. The presentation mainly covers background information of early English-Chinese bilingual education in China and the current problems in these bilingual education programs, including choosing two myths that inform misunderstandings and misinterpretations of bilingual education, and inadequate infrastructure and limited resources in the programs, and also inequality in access to and resources for early bilingual education in China. Lastly, I will mention several suggestions for the future research in this field. As well known, in the last decades, English-Chinese bilingual education has become a subject of paramount importance in China because of the Chinese central government's requirement and in response to challenges from the economic globalization and the technological revolution. Even though Chinese dominant bilingual education is still the main educational method in China now, more and more coastal regions have applied and promoted English-dominant bilingual education in their schools. So now in China, proficiency in English has been widely regarded as a national and personal asset. Chinese leadership has viewed the English language education as vital regarding national modernization and globalization. And on the individual level, proficiency in English can lead to a host of economic, social, and educational opportunities, providing access to both material resources and symbolic capital for the betterment of personal well-being. It is certain that early English-Chinese bilingual education will confer linguistic, academic, and socio-economic benefits on Chinese future generation. However, the implementation of this bilingual education is likely to be challenging. Now, let's look at this picture. In the picture, both the man and the young child are reading English books. However, the characters on their glasses are test and examination, which means the purpose of their study is only for test or examination. Moreover, according to my personal study experience and teaching experience in China, I found that because of the impact of Chinese exam-oriented education system, most parents and teachers pay much attention to test result instead of learning process, which leads to children's low proficiency in both Chinese and English. So in order to improve the quality of this bilingual education, a new educational reform is needed in China. After presenting the preliminary understanding background of bilingual education program in China, I would like to describe this issue in my first language, Chinese. 幼儿中英双语教育，在我国对儿童的启蒙的教育未来的发展和综合素质的高低有着重要影响，关系到我国未来的发展前景。但目前的双语教学并没有很从容地发展幼儿的中英文能力，批评学生语言水平滑坡的声音绵延不断。究其原委，主要是受应试教育和国家政策等因素的影响，导致了双语教育的弊端越加明显。因此，为了有效提高幼儿双语教学质量，提高学生中英文能力，幼儿双语教育改革迫在 Even though research on the development of bilingual education in China is extensive, there seems to be a dearth of efforts in the literature. So with a guide of the key research question, what was the development of English-Chinese bilingual education in China, and do we need a new education reform for this bilingual education? I concluded 3 main findings from the literature review of 10 articles, and in the following session, I will describe these 3 findings in detail. The first one is about 2 myths that inform misunderstandings and misinterpretations of bilingual education in China. One pedagogical assumption is known as time-on-task principle or maximum exposure principle, which means that the more time a student spends on learning a second language and the more exposure to the language he or she has, the better the language learning outcomes will be. However, April research findings show that it is not the quantity of time allocated to the use of English, but the quality of engagement and inclusion with the language that matters. And given the low functional competence in English that most bilingual teachers in China have, and their students' limited proficiency in English, no quality exposure to, and little substantive engagement with English can be found in the majority of bilingual classrooms in China. The other equally pervasive and unfounded assumption is the younger the better. In China, many early bilingual education programs claim that younger learners are superior to older learners for second language learning. However, evidence from diverse studies show that older learners have advantages over younger learners for second language acquisition in such areas as diversity, as literacy, vocabulary, and pragmatics. The only area in which younger learner may have an advantage is pronunciation. In addition to these 2 myths, inadequate infrastructure and limited resources in current Chinese bilingual education programs is also problematic. As Professor Hu mentioned that early instruction is not a sufficient condition for effective learning to occur. So there are other conditions that are required to develop early bilingual education in Chinese context. Also, research suggests that only under favorable conditions can the potential benefits of bilingual education to be reaped. So at present, the required conditions for early bilingual education development in China include qualified teachers with professional training, ample instructional time, and teaching methodology. These conditions are largely missing in the Chinese bilingual education system, especially the quality of teaching course is rather low and cannot meet the demand of early bilingual education reform initiated in recent years, such as the pre-service teacher education program, suffer from outdated curriculum and teaching content. There is a narrow focus on language proficiency that serves language proficiency work from pedagogical preparation. Moreover, the in-service teacher education programs also is equally problematic. Most in-service teacher education programs only help teachers to obtain paper qualification. There is a lack of a coherent framework for continuing professional development. So given this state of affairs, even trained teachers still lack training in China. And in addition, the other optimal conditions such as suitable learning materials and rich opportunities for authentic communication in language do not exist in most regions of China. The last problem is about the inequality in access to and resources for early bilingual education in China. Even though China is a country that has been traditionally characterized by a centralized top-down system, regional variation do exist in state policy implementation. so that there is a widening gap in the quality of early bilingual education programs between the different regions of China. In Professor Hu's report, great disparities are found between coastal and inland regions and between urban and rural schools. Most inland and rural schools do not only differ in infrastructural resources and children's language proficiency, but also in terms of teaching pedagogy and the children's learning behavior. Moreover, socioeconomic status also gives rise to inequality and diversity in early bilingual education programs. So English-dominant bilingual education not only perpetuates the existing inequalities in the distribution of power and access to opportunity, but also creates new forms of inequality that are further differentiating the Chinese society. So based on these findings, I think out several suggestions for further research in this field. For the numerous misconceptions of bilingual education and the misinterpretation in the research literature, further research may need to discuss how to change these misunderstandings so that correct information can be provided to benefit children's development. Moreover, given the dearth of studies that focus on the assessment of teachers' proficiency, further research is needed on what criteria can be used to define a qualified early education teacher and how teachers' proficiency and performance are monitored. So to conclude my presentation, I want to mention that a new education reform is needed in China. For example, in order to prevent the inequality in the different regions, Chinese government may need to add a provision of equality in the law of early education and make sure the policy orientation is formally settled down and effectively implemented thereafter. Moreover, the government may need to pay more attention to teacher education because a qualified teacher should be equipped with skills and knowledge to work with young children. So educational reform is a vitally important issue for China. Even though the problems are likely to persist for years, more and more scholars, academics, and policymakers are aware of the limitations of the policy documents and the theoretical issues concerning early bilingual education. So the new education reform seems to be feasible. So in order to promote this new educational reform, I would like to focus on pedagogy of early bilingual education for my future research, which can apply to improve the quality of the teaching course in China. Thanks for your